In this video, we're going to work with string variables. We've already created a lot of variables that are members or objects of the class string, but there's some things that are built into string that we might want to do with them. And let's learn what those are. So, we've used primitive data types for values like booleans or ints and doubles. We've created classes like checking account and savings account, and we also sometimes use predefined classes. We've used scanner before, we've used JOptionPane, we've used math, we've used integer, we've used string, we've used random. The string one in particular has a lot of methods in it that are useful to us, and that would take us a long time to figure out how to do on our own. So let's see what we've got in the string class. So far, we've used the string class mainly just as a container for data. Now, some of you have figured out how to do so, but we haven't really learned about any of the methods that are available to any object that's instantiated as a string. I saw some of you in your NIM programming assignments had learned a little bit about it. Let's let everybody catch up. So one of the things we might want to do is find a substring. Let's say I've got a string that's 15 characters long, and I want to deal with 3 characters in the middle, or the last 4 characters, or whatever character happens to have a G in it. So the string class contains a few methods that are called substring. These methods return part of the string. Depending on how many parameters you pass into substring, the behavior is different. So let's look at these examples. If I have string S1 equals ABCDEFG, that's a string with 7 characters in it. Let's say I also have string S2 and S3. I can say S2 is, hey, S1, create a substring, and I'll pass the substring method the number 3, and S1, create a substring, and I'll pass 2 numbers, a 2 and a 5. Now, if I print out S1, followed by S2, followed by S3, I'm going to get this. ABCDEFG, that's S1, all 7 characters. S2 prints out DEFG. I said make it the substring where I pass in a 3. Position 0, position 1, position 2, here's position 3. It takes from position 3 to the end of the string, so I get DEFG. And then S3 prints out just CDE. Where did that come from? I said 2 to 5. Here's 0, here's 1. Start at 2, C. Here's number 3, here's number 4. And stop just before you get to number 5. So it'll print out C, D, and E. Let's look at this in more detail. How is substring working? Here's my first string. S1 has 7 slots in it, numbered 0 through 6. If I do S1.substring3, put a little arrow here right before character 3, and your stop arrow put at the very end. What's in between those 2 arrows? DEFG. If I give substring 2 parameters, put my start arrow right before the first number, my end arrow right before the second number. What's in between the arrows? C, D, and E. Okay, now how about if we wanted to see if 2 string objects are equal? We know how to compare things to see if they're equal. We use the equals equals operator in an if statement. But that's not going to work for strings. It works for primitive types like ints and booleans and doubles. For objects like checking accounts or recipes or strings, equals equals doesn't work. Don't do this. If I do if S1 equals equals S2, Eclipse will not complain. It says this is perfectly valid, but what it's checking is, does S1 point to the same place in memory that S2 points to? That isn't the same thing as saying, are all the letters that are stored in S1 the same as the letters that are stored in S2? So this is not what we want to do with strings. Equals compares the actual values. These are pointers. I don't want to use that if I want to look at the sequence of characters. So what should I do? S1 dot equals, passing it S2, or S1 dot equals ignore case, passing it S2. Look for anything that has the same characters, but a capital A and a small a will be the same. A capital B and a small b will be the same. So this S1 dot equals ignore case is a really useful thing to do. Let's say you wanted somebody to type in, do you want to play again? And they type in yes. You don't know if they had their caps lock key on or not. You could do equals ignore case, looking for just lowercase yes. Now, we can also see if a string object contains a specific substring. Suppose I've got a string that's got the value I love Java. This if statement, if S1 contains Java, this will get executed, because somewhere in here are the characters in order, J-A-V-A. This one will not get executed because it's looking for this set of characters, little J-A-V-A. It doesn't find it anywhere. Although equals has an equals ignore case, contains does not have a version called contains ignore case. It's too bad. It's one of the things I wish Java did have. Maybe someday you'll write it and get it added to the language.